Highlands of Scotland. I am William Wallace.
Welcome back to the Aldo Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be doing a preview of the Velogames Superclasico World Championships. It is incredibly bright, hence I have put on the sunglasses, and I've also got on my World Championships hat ready for the road race, which is of course happening on Sunday. That's what we're doing a preview for today. I am going up to Glasgow tomorrow, so very excited for this week-long holiday World Championships. But let's talk about the Velogames. The most important aspect of all is us doing good in the Velogames. So, of course, the rider prices stay exactly the same throughout the whole year. So we've got Pogacar, Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel as the most expensive riders at 32 credits. Of these three, I would favour Van der Poel more than likely, just because his record over one-day races is kind of insane. Pogacar is another good one, but not a course which massively suits him, but he could very much go solo, kind of similar to what Evenepoel will probably try and do. So I think Pogacar is a good option, but certainly a bit riskier. But if you pick him and he wins, that's a massive differential. And then Wout van Aert's a bit of a tricky one. His record over one-day races is consistent, but never quite brilliant. Like, he's never really the winner. I think that Van der Poel is my favourite of the three. I do think that Wout van Aert is still a good choice, and I think that Pogacar is still a good choice, but I just think that Van der Poel is my favourite one of the three. Then there's Evenepoel at 30, of course, recently winning San Sebastian. His record over kind of one-day races over last year is kind of insane. And he is just a winner, and he could very much go solo, and I think this course suits a solo kind of rider, pinging off the front or from a small group, and then it's just chaotic in World Championships road race. Evenepoel benefited from that last year, and I think he could certainly do that again this year. To be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if he finished World Championship at the end of Sunday's race. Now on to a couple of riders which I probably wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend Alaphilippe, and I wouldn't really recommend Philipsen. I just haven't seen the form which I've really wanted from Alaphilippe, but he is a two-times champion, so he could very much pull it out of the bag. It's more of a sentimental pick though, to be honest with you. Philipsen, again, a very aggressive sort of sprinter type rider who, like a Pedersen, will certainly get into moves, but is he going to win? I'm not really too sure about him winning. I just feel like he's more of like the sprinter reserve option for Belgium, and I just don't see it coming back for a sprint. Asgreen's an interesting one, looks super strong at the end of the Tour, and riders coming out of the Tour are looking really strong at the moment in like Tour of Polonia, so I do think that Asgreen might have a really good shot at doing well here if he goes solo, for example. So Asgreen is certainly a bit of like an outsider rider, I think, for maybe even a podium or a top 5. Christoph, I wouldn't pick. Pedersen, I do like. I think Pedersen's look really strong, whole Danish teams around him. Won in a very, very biblical edition of the Yorkshire World Championships. So I think that if it rains, Pedersen's going to be a really good one to be going with, and I think he would be, a top 10 favourite probably as a shoo-in. Van Baal, I'm not too keen on either. I think he'll be working for Van der Poel, but he does have a good record in these longer races, so if he got his own freedom, then that would be a pretty good one. But again, is he going to win like a 24 credits? You're investing quite a lot into somebody who may or is probably not likely to finish on the podium, so I'm not thinking that I will take Van Baal. Benoot, I think it's just a domestique. Kuznavois I haven't seen enough from, neither from Kung or Lampart. Laporte, I think, is probably one of the best 22-point riders. A lot of hype around him, maybe being a bit of a dark horse going into this race. Second last year, really strong rider. Was very important for Jumbo-Visma's success during the Tour de France. And I do think that Laporte is a good option for a lot of teams. Matthews, we haven't seen since like the Giro d'Italia, so I'm not sure what to expect from him in this race. I think that a top 5 is a pretty good option. He's very good at these attritional races, so I think that Matthews is a good choice, but I just favour Laporte because I've seen Laporte's form more recently. Stuyven as be a domestique. Arambarou, no. Bennett, no. Garcia Cortina, no. Madouas, not really. Sagan, no. Trentin, no. Bettiol's not a bad one, was looking decent at San Sebastian. If you remember, he sort of followed the move of Evenepoel, so he's looking in decent form when you consider that San Sebastian is not a race massively suited towards Bettiol. It's more suited towards the climber type. So Bettiol's climbing really well there, and I think that, again, another rider coming out of the Tour de France, really good over kind of just hard, tough attritional races. So I think that Bettiol's a good one to be going with too. Coquard maybe, but I do think they'll be going for Laporte, but I do think that Coquard could maybe come top 15 or top 10 if things really work out. A good differential pick again. Hershey has looked decent recently, but not like the Hershey of old, so I'm probably not going to recommend you put Hershey on. Honore, Coy's an interesting one. He did leave Tour of Polonia early to be here, to be in good form. He's sort of like the Philipsen role, so I therefore can't really strongly recommend him because I didn't really recommend Philipsen, so I can't go back on my word there. Other 18 credit riders, not that great. You could maybe go for Fred Wright if you're a die-hard GB fan and you want to have a GB rider in there. Fred Wright will probably be the best one of the lot. 16 credit riders, Kwiatkowski, third place at Polonia, but he did crash on the final stage, so be wary of that. Just keep an eye on any media about how he's feeling. Paulus is also very good over long distances. Think back to Flanders World Championships. Think back to Flanders this year. Improved very much as a one-day racer. Probably the best shot that US have of finishing inside the top 10 in this race. So Paulus I do like. I also like Badjoli. He was also, as I said, a pretty good pick for San Sebastian. He will probably have some decent freedom in this race. I think he's looked really strong in a contract year. I think he's going to need to be pulling out a good performance here to secure a good contract for next year. So Badjoli I do quite like for a team here if you were looking for a more kind of mid-priced rider, I guess you could call them. Other 14 credit riders, you got Luka Mezgec, who should have a bit more freedom because, I don't know, there's only really Pogacar, and I think that Mezgec is pretty good. Navarez looked very strong recently, but again, lacks the sort of team support. Schmid, Skelmos, maybe not. Haven't seen quite the form I've been wanting from them. Schoins, on the other hand, top 10 at San Sebastian, another good choice for you to be going with. So quite a few of the 14 credit rider bracket that you could go with. 12 credit riders, I'm not really too sure. I don't really think there's too many there which I like the look of. 10 credit riders, maybe Genietz, because he is kind of from a smaller nation, so he does have the opportunity to have his own sort of ride in this race. You could go for very expensive assist points in Van Hooijdonk, but probably that's not a very good move to be going and doing. 8 credit riders, again, not that many to be shouting about. Maybe Harland Johannesson, he was good in the Tour. Leknesund, maybe. Neyland's actually very good in the Tour as well. And I think, again, Latvia, a nation which doesn't have too many riders, so there'll probably be quite a lot of freedom in there. You know, they've got Schoins, they've got Neylands, they've got Leipens. Quite a few riders that they could go with. Vacek is, again, I think he crashed in Wallonia, actually, so maybe don't go with him because I don't know how he's feeling after that. 6 credit riders, of course, we will probably be needing to pick some of these because the other really good riders are very expensive. Bjerg, I think he finished top 15 in Flanders this year, and I think that he's good over wet conditions, so Bjerg could be a decent one, considering that Denmark, as outside of Pedersen and Asgreen, it's quite an open field, so I think that Bjerg could finish top 20, and that's actually pretty good going. When you finish top 20, you still get like 100 points, so it's well worthwhile thinking about riders who are going to be finishing top 20, top 25, and maybe even trying to get assist points with Bjerg on Pedersen, for example. So another one that I do think that Bjerg is probably one of your better 6 credit riders to be going with. Ben Healy hasn't looked particularly great in like San Sebastian recently, but you never know, he could very well turn it around here. He's done very well in Liège this year and Amstel Gold this year, both very long, hilly, attritional races, and I think that there's no reason that Healy won't be repeating that again. You got riders who might be going into the breakaway, like Henok, for example. He might be going into the break. That's another thing to be thinking about. Jonas Luch is very good over attritional races, especially like wet and brutal ones, like that really wet version of Roubaix. I think Luch was top 15 there, so maybe he might sneak inside top 25 in a very attritional race. But other than that, maybe Kevin Vermarker for US, but that's about it, to be honest with you, in terms of the 6 credit riders. And the 4 credit riders, again, looking at guys who might go in breakaway, so look at teams who only have one rider in there, like Sweden only have Lucas Ericsson in there, so it makes sense for him to try and get him a break because it's not really a benefit sitting in the peloton. Frederick Frieson is the de facto 4 credit rider pick because he's from the Belgian team, so therefore he's likely to get assist points on any number of Evenepoel, Wout van Aert and Jasper Philipsen, so that's a good one. Derek G as well, I expect to be another popular one. Mr. Breakaway from the Giro, he was in 7 breakaways in the Giro d'Italia, and I think that why not go in the breakaway again, Derek? Just to kind of, round it all up. I think that although breakaways don't get massive amounts of points, you get 60 points for reaching 50% of the race distance, and then your next sort of point is at 50k's to go, so it might not be the best strategy to be going with, but I think that G's pretty strong, so I would probably rate his chances of getting to 50k's to go, maybe getting absorbed by a group. Kellerman is again kind of a strong rider to be going with, and maybe like a Lawrence Piffy has looked very strong recently. In terms of the teams, I think that you've got 2 options. You've got the option of you pick 3 very expensive riders and then you fill out the rest of the team with 4 and 6 credit riders, or you sort of only go with one really expensive rider and you sort of spread it out a bit more. So for example, this is the more spread out system where you've got a Laporte or a Paulus in there. Swap around riders as you see fit. You could not go with Laporte, you could go with a 24 credit rider and then take off Paulus for a 14 credit rider or whatever. Or you could go with, say, a Van der Poel here, take off Paulus and then put on a 6 credit rider. Again, whichever one you see fit for your team. We'll put in Healy for the meantime. These are the two sort of strategies that I'm really seeing being the most viable at the moment. I think that, you know, you could maybe, if you're feeling risky, could go not with Pedersen, but an 18 credit rider and put those into Healy to get a 12. But I just don't see that much value. I really see that you're either going, I just don't see too much great value in terms of like 8, 10 and 12 credit riders. I think that you kind of ranges from like 4 to 6 and then you kind of jump up to 14 and then that's where the value starts again. So you're sort of having a bit of a split team there. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below in terms of teams. Are you thinking kind of 3 big riders or kind of spreading out points a little bit more? All that is left to say is to stay safe out there. I'll see you on the Cole Road on the World Champs Road Race wearing this hat and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!